Hello dosto, welcome to Chalaki Read Between the Lines. This week we are in a contemplative mood. What? इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब ये है कि इंडियन सबकॉन्टिनेंट में जो कंट्रीज हैं, पाकिस्तान और श्रीलंका की अर्थव्यवस्था यानी इकोनॉमी की हालत बहुत ही खराब है. This is a two-part series explaining what is wrong with each one of these economies and whether we should do something about it. To start with, I would like to wish all of my Tamilian and Sinhalese friends a very happy new year. They form the majority of Sri Lanka. You would like to know that the new year is celebrated as the end of the harvest season, and typically celebrations have a lot of food and festivities because most Sri Lankans enjoy good fortune typically at this time of the year. What you are watching is an old video of how Sri Lankan kids, youth, adults and families got together and celebrated New Year's with fun and games and enjoy their traditional rituals and foods. This is in the past, but now circa 2022. Arey matlab, in the year 2022, let's set some context here. This new year is going to be different for Sri Lanka. This new year is going to be different because Sri Lanka is experiencing the worst economic crisis in their history since independence in 1948. Even at the peak of violence in the northern and western parts led by the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam or LTTE, things were not as bad as they are today. Let me show you a glimpse of the situation in Sri Lanka today.
Soaring prices of goods, currency shortage, deepening fuel crisis, long power cuts. Sri Lanka is facing one of its worst economic crises in recent decades.
Terrifying, isn't it? Let's see the context here. In November 2019, Gotabaya Rajapaksa convincingly won the presidential elections with just over 52% of the vote. A few months later, an alliance led by his brother Mahinda, president of Sri Lanka between 2005 and 2015, won the parliamentary elections, securing almost 60% of the vote. The main reasons for these dramatic reversals are clear. There are multiple reasons for Sri Lanka to be in this situation. Let's chalk out a few important reasons. The Rajapaksas have badly handled Sri Lanka's twin crises of unsustainable commercial debt and an acute balance of payments shortfall. आप बोलोगे, अरे भाई, explain in simple terms. Here goes. Sri Lanka gets its revenues mainly from two resources: agricultural income, growing and exporting rice, rubber, fish, and a significant revenue comes from textiles, apparels and precious stones. The other revenue, which is almost 10% of the GDP, is tourism. People from all over the world enjoy the hospitality and culture of this island nation thoroughly. Okay, so what happened? Well, a couple of things. Rajapaksas have invariably shown preference to the Chinese and have taken immense loans from them, which is a trap for the country now apparent to the public. Their forex revenues are at US dollars 2.5 billion and the loan from Chinese itself is at US $5 billion. What did they do with the money? They incentivized corporates and individuals. The tax regime was so low and lenient that it became unsustainable. Investing in Chinese interests like the Hambantota port instead of developing industry related to infrastructure has been a disastrous result. In terms of agriculture, insisting on organic farming resulted in many farmers suffering losses in produce due to the expensive ingredients and low acreage development and therefore lower output. Although this decision was eventually reversed, alas, the damage had already been done. Apart from this, the uncontrollables, the blast on Easter in 2019 at various locations destroyed the tourism industry completely. Also, COVID has brought the tourism at a complete halt and therefore the economy at its knees. These exogenous shocks would have tested the most competent of administrations. But the Rajapaksas made a series of unforced errors that have made a difficult situation unbearable. Now, the India angle. There is a long-standing mistrust of Indians amongst Sinhala Buddhist nationalists who see it as the source of historic Tamil invasions. The majority Sinhalas feel that India is pro-Tamils and all efforts to find them a separate state is a policy decision. In reality, this could not be further from the truth. However, the Rajapaksas translated this sentiment into policy, pushing back against Indian attempts to forge closer economic ties and a constitutional settlement of the Tamil question. In place of these ties, the Rajapaksas ostentatiously set out to forge new alliances, principally with China, but also others who are seen as more respectful of national sovereignty. We know today India has opened its purse and are offering fuel, gas, food, grains, etc. Whereas the Chinese have taken a careful stance of distancing themselves from addressing the situation. The Rajapaksas may be the principal protagonists of these crises, but the underlying script they have followed is a Sinhalese Buddhist one, and until Sri Lanka finds a new script, it cannot find peace or stability. If they walk one step towards India, India will take two. Hope they realize it in good time.